Greetings, kindred spirits, and welcome to all my new subscribers. I don't know what it is about this moon, this full moon. I keep calling it a new moon. I've been referring to it as a new moon all week. And I'm actually feeling the new moon's energy as well. But I think that's probably because, March is quite active energetically this month, We've got a few shifts in planetary energies. As well as the March Equinox and Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde comes to an end on the 10th, but he doesn't actually come out of shadow until the 29th. So just be aware of that. But anyway, let's get into the new moon first. So this is a super moon as well, which will make the energies just that little bit stronger, because the moon does appear closer to the earth, but I do feel it's a bigger energy. So the full supermoon takes place in Leo in the true lifetime sky on the 9th of March at 17:47 in the GMT time zone, at 13:47 in the EDT time zone, and on the 10th of March at 4:47 in the AEDT time zone. So the moon in Leo is actually quite a playful energy. It's also a very creative energy. But, this particular moon can be quite dominating as well. So the sun is the ruler of Leo, and the sun actually rules the 6th house of work and health in the true lifetime sky. So some may need time out of their daily commitments, maybe to spend time with family or friends, or just to have a break, while others may be overly distracted from their responsibilities or commitments. Now, but the main theme I'm seeing for this full supermoon is for us to stay grounded and realistic, especially as these energies will be felt a little bit stronger than usual, since it is a supermoon. We also have a very strong grand aspect, which is the kite. And this is all about extremes and energetic highs and lows, whether that's emotionally, mentally, physically, depending on the star signs they're in. So the star signs is actually air and fire, Aquarius and Leo, because this kite does involve our full moon. And our full moon will be sitting right at the tail of this grand aspect. And our sun in Aquarius will be conjunct Neptune right at the head of the kite. So on a positive note, it does suggest great insights and inventiveness, especially when it comes to art, music, technology, and finding solutions. But it must also be based on realism and common sense too, since these energies can tend to make us a little bit too much out there, or a little bit too ahead of our time, or a little bit too in a fantasy world. So on the whole, this is a very creative energy, and if we are confident in our craft, abilities or desires, then we can really achieve something very special. This is a very good manifesting energy, but I would be very, very careful of manifesting at this time, unless you really know what you're doing. This energy would work especially well in group settings, if everyone is on the same page. It's like a lot of success can be achieved there. So the negative side of this kite is really all about the ego. Are we getting the recognition that we feel we deserve, or are we just stamping our feet and spitting our dummy out because we're not getting our own way? I think for most it could be a case of needing a little bit of Dutch courage, or although I'd beware of the Dutch courage bit, because sometimes we can go over the top or resort to chemicals. Basically, we can resort to chemicals like drugs, alcohol, maybe for a little bit of Dutch courage, or maybe just to escape the reality. Now, but the one thing I would emphasise here is that we don't have to prove ourselves to anybody, especially when it's at the risk of our own emotional or physical well-being. So, there is a little bit of ego and emotional detachment involved, or not being able to express ourselves properly. So just watch out for that. But there's also this very powerful sexual energy. So I'd be very careful of who you're getting involved with, because the attraction to danger can be pretty strong at this time. Or being drawn into, dangerous situations or risky situations. We have to be careful. There's a stellium of planets in Sagittarius at the moment, and they're ego-based planets. Just beware of that. Mercury does end his retrograde on the 10th of March, but his shadow won't end till the 29th of March. So I would still be very cautious up until the 29th of March. Not just for this reason, because we've got a few shifts to kind of occur after the 10th of March. So I still feel it's a time of caution. And I said before, as Mercury retrograde ends, he will be at 0 degrees in Aquarius, trine the North Node and in square to the goddess Vesta of the sacred fire. So there is this rash energy with these aspects and degree positions, or a danger of following the wrong crowd, so to speak. Especially when it comes to the media. We would be wise to keep our minds open when it comes to public opinion or media attention. It could be that something new comes to light, but the energy I'm seeing around this is more on the shadow side, which will create a lot of nervousness and exhaustion if we're not careful. So I would just say step back. If you're getting caught up in the energies of this full supermoon, then I would advise you just to step back and get back into your own space, just to get that clearer picture. For some people the picture's just too real and too provoking. So it really does depend where we're at on our own individual paths. But still, I would say keep your mind open, keep your heart open, and beware crossing the line when it comes to morals and principles, because trust issues are still quite a theme at this time. So the Sun moves into Pisces on the 12th of March. And as the Sun moves into Pisces, he will be in conjunction to Neptune, who's still in Aquarius, and in sextile to both Mars and the goddess Vesta. So this would be a great day to express ourselves creatively when it comes to arts and crafts. But it's also a time where we could get a little bit more out of touch with the real world, either regarding our work or maybe other commitments. So the shift in the Sun's energy will be felt. And on this day, I feel the 3 energy really is strong numerologically. So the 3 energy was really dominant in December. So as the 3 energy kind of is strong on this particular day, the 12th of March, I would just say there's a connection to December in some way. And I also feel that the first half of March is all about preparing us for quite a shift in energy when Saturn moves into his own sign of Capricorn on the 17th of March in the true lifetime sky. So many of us may not be aware of this and feel a little bit lost on their path. And again, we must keep an open mind and adapt to the changes that are already coming in. because they've been coming in really subtly. You know, I think the media has taken our attention away from other little things that are going on in the world right now. Just keep an open mind. The stellium of planets in Sagittarius are all quite powerful bodies. You know, we've got Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, the goddess Pallas, and the South Node. I think the South Node's actually moved away from them, but he's still in the sign of Sagittarius at the moment. Let me just check that. Yeah, he's still in Sagittarius at the moment. So, and they're all very ego-based planets, like I said, and they're creating quite a block on our growth or our growing, because we was doing so well in 2019. That's the one thing we was doing well in, was growing, but it's all a little bit stuck at the moment. And, you know, even though 2019 was difficult, especially the latter half, or, you know, or it was more external events really, you know, that was going on, but now they're kind of affecting us personally. So this is a year now where it's all about, you know, we've grown, we've opened our eyes, now we need to grow and adapt to what we've seen, to what we know. And I just feel like there's this lack of confidence about the future right now, which is understandable with everything that's going on. But we've got to try and stay in that place of confidence on what's meant to be will be. So I would say meditation would be particularly useful on this day. So, you know, when Saturn moves into Capricorn on the 17th of March, you know, the outer planets, they always create a little bit of a stir when they move signs. You know, in this particular instance, we don't just have Saturn moving out of the element of fire into the element of earth. He's also actually moving into his own sign of Capricorn. Now, this is where the universal year 4 energy will really start to kick in. Although it will take another few months for the shifts and changes to slow down a bit. But he's definitely coming in and putting his brakes on. And because it's his own sign, it's kind of easy. It's not, there's no conflict there. You know, so on a positive, this energy will represent progress, structure and discipline on one hand. But on the other, it can represent selfishness, segmentation and chain reaction. You know, things are likely to get a little bit more competitive and disorganised before solid grounds can be reached. So for the rest of this month of March, I would highly recommend that we keep it light-hearted and respectful as ego issues surface out the blue. You know, we have quite an intense new moon coming up on the 24th of March. So I don't know if I'm already tapping into that energy. You know, and that particular moon will also be a micro moon. And that means that the moon will be at its furthest point away from the earth. So what we need throughout this month are activities that keep us uplifted, like meditation, chanting, praying, music, poetry, art, exercise and clearing space. You know, these will all be good aids to get us through positively. You know, the March Equinox will take place on the 20th of March. And that again is emphasising the 22-22 energy that's been in effect since the 22-22 portal on the 2nd of February. You know, so we're actually flitting between the 2, 3 and 4 energies. So throughout this month, we're going from the 4 to the 3 to the 2, back to the 2. And I think that's how it's going to be throughout the month of March. It's just going to keep switching around, especially since Uranus is at 5 degrees in Aries. You know, so the number 5 is the number of change. Uranus in Aries is very fast-moving energy and creates sudden changes anyway. So at 5 degrees I just feel there's some sudden shifts coming up. And I think it's good in a way that Saturn's moving into Capricorn, because I think he will put on the brakes a little bit, and I think we're going to need that. So keep the faith, everybody. Let's not all jump in on scandals and risk-taking adventures, and, let's all keep it real. Let's all keep it grounded. And I know most of you will anyway. So sending you all peace and much love.